The HP Omen 15 is one of the best Ryzen gaming laptops currently available. I'll show you why it's worth considering in this review. There's some nice specs for a gaming laptop inside, including 8-core AMD Ryzen 7 4800H processor, NVIDIA GTX 1660 Ti graphics, and 16GB of memory and dual channel with 144Hz screen. You can check out other configs and updated prices in the video description. Overall build quality is decent, with some caveats. The lid is plastic, the interior is aluminium, and the whole thing has a silver finish. The front edge felt a little sharp if you brush up against it, but I never noticed it during everyday use. There was quite a bit of flex to the lid when trying to move it. I first noticed it when I went to brush something off the screen. A lot of people seem to have concerns about this, but it doesn't look like it's that big of a deal. You can check out this video by CodeHusky for more information. There's also some keyboard flex when intentionally pushing down hard, but it felt sturdy enough during normal use. No issues opening it up with one finger, and the screen goes the full 180 degrees back. I noticed some of the keyboard lighting leaks onto the plastic below the screen. It's not really an issue, just something I haven't really seen before. My config weighed in at 4.6 pounds or 2.1 kilos, and with the 200 watt power brick and cables for charging, we're looking at 6 pounds or 2.7 kilos all up. It's not too large for a 15-inch gaming laptop, about average thickness, and overall quite portable. The smaller footprint results in 6.5mm thin screen bezels on the sides, but with a thicker bottom chin. Mine has a 15.6-inch 1080p 144Hz screen. Unfortunately, there's no FreeSync, G-Sync, or option to disable Optimus. I measured the screen's average gray-to-gray response time at just under 8 milliseconds. There's a link in the description if you need an explanation on what these numbers mean. It's somewhat similar when compared to other 144Hz panels, but at the same time, nowhere near as bad as other Ryzen options like the Asus TUF A15 or Dell G5 SE. I've measured color gamut with the Spider 5 and got 96% of sRGB, 66% of NTSC, 72% of Adobe RGB, and 71% of DCI-P3. At 100% brightness, we're looking at 327 nits and a 710:1 contrast ratio. So overall, fair results for a gaming panel. Bit lower on the contrast though. Backlight bleed wasn't too bad in my unit. The glow patches weren't bright enough to notice during normal use, but this will vary between laptops and panels. There's a 720p camera above the display in the middle. No Windows Hello support though. This is what the camera and microphone look and sound like. This is what it sounds like to type on the keyboard. And this is what it sounds like if we set the fan to max speed. So you can still hear me okay over those fans. My keyboard only has white backlighting, which can either be turned on or off without any further adjustment, but there is also a 4-zone RGB option if you prefer. All keys and secondary key functions are illuminated, and although there's no numpad, we still get some extra keys to the right, so the arrows have plenty of space. I don't personally use the numpad, so it didn't really bother me. No N-key rollover though. HP specifically notes 24-key rollover, which I guess is probably enough. Here's how typing sounds to give you an idea of what to expect. The power button is part of the keyboard, so you might want to change the default behavior in Windows in case of an accidental press, which is to put it to sleep. There also appears to be small air ventilation holes up the back above the keyboard. The precision touchpad clicks down anywhere and works fine without any issues. Although it's smooth, at the same time it also feels a little textured and not quite as smooth as others. Although fingerprints aren't as obvious as on a black finish, they do show, but they're pretty easy to clean off the smooth surface with a microfiber cloth. On the left from the back there's the power input, gigabit Ethernet, USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A port, HDMI 2.0A output, 3.5mm audio combo jack, and full-size SD card slot. On the right from the front there's a USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type C port with DisplayPort 1.4 support, no Thunderbolt here, and the laptop cannot be charged over Type C, mini DisplayPort, air exhaust vent on this side, and 2 more USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports. All 3 display outputs connect directly to the NVIDIA graphics, bypassing the Radeon graphics, so good to go for VR. The back is just air exhaust vents, and although there's nothing on the front, not even an indentation to get your finger into, I had no issues opening the lid. The lid logo is sort of a reflective bluish purple diamond in the center with Omen text underneath. Underneath, the back half of the machine appears to be air intake vents, but if we look at the bottom panel, some of the space is covered. Regardless, still far better intake compared to the TUF A15. Getting inside involved taking out 8 Phillips head screws. And inside we've got the battery down the front, 2 M.2 storage slots with heatsink on either side of it, and the 2 memory slots and Wi-Fi 6 card are above the battery. The 2 speakers are towards the front on the left and right sides. I thought they sounded pretty average. There's a little bass and they were clear enough at maximum volume, and the latency mon results were looking alright. The Omen is powered by a 6-cell 71 Wh battery, and I've tested it with the keyboard lighting off, background apps disabled, and screen at 50% brightness. The results were excellent when compared to other gaming laptops with larger batteries, lasting for more than 8 hours in the YouTube playback test and more than 2 hours while gaming. Interestingly, the top 4 gaming laptops are all Ryzen based. Let's check out thermals next. I've got a whole video covering this topic in depth linked in the description. I'll just summarize the important parts here. The Omen Command Center software lets you select between different performance modes, which from lowest to highest are comfort, default, and performance. And you have the option of enabling max fan speed with any of these modes, but there's no further granular fan controls. You can also use the third-party Ryzen controller software to further boost processor performance above stock levels. Thermals were tested with a 21 degrees Celsius ambient room temperature. Idle results down the bottom were good. Stress tests were done with the AIDA64 CPU stress test, and Heaven GPU test at the same time, and gaming was tested with Watch Dogs 2. In the highest performance mode, we're not even hitting 90 degrees Celsius under these heavy loads, an excellent result, and we could get even cooler by boosting fan speed or using a cooling pad. The clock speeds were still hitting 4 to above 4.1 GHz depending on the test, and without any modifications over all 8 cores. So again, excellent results. The 1660 Ti was able to run at its 80 watt limit regardless of the mode, so the different modes only really modify CPU power limit and fan speeds. Due to the high GPU power, we can still play GPU heavy games without performance loss in the lower modes, though we can't really get much of a quieter system, as you'll hear soon. I also didn't find Ryzen controller to boost performance in workloads where both the CPU and GPU are active. It did however give us a boost in CPU only workloads. For instance, in Cinebench, we could boost multi-core performance by almost 6% with this tool. When we compare the results with other laptops, it's doing extremely well, basically tied with the Electronics RP15 and much better when compared to most others tested, only getting beaten by far thicker and more expensive options. The keyboard area was never hot regardless of the workload being run, though it was possible to get some improvements depending on the specific mode and fan speed option in use. In particular, the WASD keys are always cool as air must be getting pulled through the keyboard, and the wrist rest felt fine too, so it always felt comfortable even after gaming for hours. Let's have a listen to those fans. When idling, the fan would occasionally ramp up a bit, which is why I've recorded 2 levels. For some reason, comfort mode basically maxes out the fans with the stress tests going. I'm not sure if that's a bug, or if HP's idea of comfort is how cool the machine feels without regards for your ears. But that's why comfort mode was running cooler than the higher default mode. Max speed was on the louder side, but nothing that can't be resolved by using headphones. Same case with most gaming laptops. Now let's check out how the Omen 15 performs in games and compare it with some other laptops. In Battlefield 5, I've got the Omen 15 highlighted in red. The average frame rate is similar to a lot of other 1660 Ti laptops I've tested, though a little behind some others, but only by a couple of frames. The 1% low seems to be a bit lower on the Ryzen-based laptops in this game. The i7 options in the Vapor 15, aka Mag 15 and Helios 300 for instance, see a fair improvement in this regard. These are the results from Far Cry 5 with ultra settings in the built-in benchmark. The average FPS is similar when compared to the other 1660 Ti based laptops that I've tested. However, in this more processor heavier test, the 1% low performance was better than all alternatives with the exception of the undervolted Helios 300. The Helios was also a fair bit ahead in average FPS now, at least compared to the last game. Shadow of the Tomb Raider was also tested with the game's benchmark tool with the highest setting preset. And as a GPU heavy test, it's not surprising that we've got a few other 1660 Ti laptops performing similarly. 74 FPS was the highest result recorded from a 1660 Ti, and the Omen was able to hit this too. I've also tested the Omen 15 in 20 games at all setting levels. You can check the card in the top right corner or link in the video description if you want to see results in more games. Now for the benchmarking tools. I've tested Heaven, Valley, and Superposition from Unigine, as well as Firestrike and TimeSpy from 3D Mark. Just pause the video if you want a detailed look at these results. I've used Adobe Premiere to export one of my laptop review videos at 4K, and the Omen 15 was doing well for a Ryzen-based laptop with 1660 Ti. Better than the A15 in any case, and almost the same as the RP15 with 2060. But those Intel options have the edge here due to QuickSync. I've also tested Premiere, but with the Puget Systems benchmark, which also accounts for things like live playback rather than just export times. Higher score is better here, and with more than just raw exporting concerned, the Omen 15 is now doing better than some of the Intel options with higher tier GPUs. In Adobe Photoshop, the Omen was on the lower side compared to most others tested. I'm not too sure why though, as this is typically a CPU heavy test. And as we've seen, the processing power is certainly there. In DaVinci Resolve, it's actually doing quite well. The best result from any 1660 Ti laptop that I've tested so far. I've also tested SpecViewPerf, which tests out various professional 3D workloads. I've used the OpenVR benchmark to test the HTC Vive Cosmos Elite, and the Omen was performing closely to other 1660 Ti laptops. The CPU matters a bit less here from my testing, as this is heavier on the GPU, but in any case it still offered playable performance in Half-Life Alyx. Basically only the Alpha 15 and below didn't. I've used Crystal DiskMark to test the storage, and the 512GB NVMe M.2 SSD was doing well. The SD card slot wasn't too bad, at least the reads were better than the writes, which is preferable as most people will probably dump footage rather than write to the card. The card clicks in and sits most of the way into the machine. For updated prices, check the links in the description, as prices will change over time. At the time of recording, in the US, the configuration with 8GB of memory and 512GB storage is $1,250 US, but it was recently on sale for $200 less than this, so definitely worth keeping an eye out for. For $100 more, you can get double the storage and double the memory, which I think is worth going for. 16GB of RAM is a great sweet spot in my opinion, but again, this was just recently $200 off as well. With all of that in mind, let's conclude by summarizing the good and bad aspects of the HP Omen 15 gaming laptop to help you decide if it's worthwhile. All things considered, I think the Omen 15 is coming out ahead of the Electronics RP15 I previously tested as my current favorite Ryzen-based gaming laptop. The performance difference isn't too large in many workloads, and the screens are similar with a slight edge in response time to the RP15. It just depends what you're using it for. The Omen has the edge in build quality despite the more flexible lid. The gaming performance isn't that different despite the RP15 having a 2060, and battery life is much better with the Omen, so it really comes down to price difference and what your priorities are. The thermal performance of the Omen in particular really puts others like the TUF A15 and Dell G5 SE to shame. This is how a Ryzen gaming laptop should be. I think there's a lot of value on offer compared to alternatives, which is why it's my current favorite Ryzen gaming laptop. But I do still have more of those coming to test before I do a big comparison. So basically to summarize, if you're looking for a gaming laptop with AMD's Ryzen processors, then the HP Omen 15 should be right up the top of the list, especially if you can pick it up on sale. Let me know what you thought about HP's Omen 15 gaming laptop down in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, get subscribed for future laptop reviews and tech videos like this one.